I just want to go hunting, baby.
Recording in progress, Jerry Coyne. Happy November. I love you people. Uncle Ted loves grayling. My spirit is there with Fred Bear every day. You know that, don't you?
Yes, I do know that. If you could lift up the Fred Bear statue and put it in your backyard there in Jackson, you would.
You know, in my own way, I've actually accomplished that on a spiritual level, but the grayling zone has to be the home of Fred Bear. I suppose we could go back to Pennsylvania in 1901 or maybe Detroit in 1920, but Grayling is the Fred Bear epicenter. So a big Nugent family salute, Godspeed, God bless, aim small, miss small. Happy November in the wilds of my beloved birth state of Michigan. In the wind, Fred Bear is with us every day, and you all know it.
You should see the amount of traffic heading up here. I think we're going to have a bigger than normal hunting season. Looks that way.
I'm having a bigger than normal hunting season, I promise you that.
Yes, I thank you for that picture. Those were some big ass bucks on that poll you sent me last week.
Yeah, we got a bunch of guys come from all over the country to hunt with Uncle Ted. Who wouldn't want to hunt with Uncle Ted? I'm so much fun around the campfire. I'm like a funny man. But no, there's some really dedicated, hands-on conservation sporters out there. And I own this magnificent swamp in Jackson County. And we get together every year, and I'm telling you, no matter how stupid and offensive a lot of the world is right now, and always has been, the best of the best are hunters. The best people in the world are hands-on conservation resource stewards, celebrants of God's miraculous healing powers of nature. And even though it's about a backstrap in the final analysis, it's all those ingredients that drive that traffic northbound every year in Michigan. And a big salute to all those Michigan families who still conduct this wonderful, wonderful conservation lifestyle.
Ted, we're with the streaming platform and everything else, we're going to have this video out. I've never asked you this before. We've been doing this for 12 years now, since we started the radio station. Do you have a tip or two for the uninitiated hunter, the guys that just come up for this 10 days? Half of them might not even go into the blind or get their gun out, but from the greatest hunter left alive in America, what do you give them a tip or two?
Well, number one, I'm not by any stretch the best hunter in America, but you know what I am? I'm the happiest hunter in America. So my tip is to approach this sacred time, and everybody has a different motivation, and all of them are probably legitimate. I'm not a drinking guy, but if you want to get away from your 9 to 5 and go to deer camp and sit around the fireplace and drink beer, as long as you don't get stupid and puke, and don't touch a gun, you know what I mean? There's that escape factor. I don't condone it completely, but I understand it because I understand my fellow man. But whatever you do, embrace this spirit that's in the wind. There's an instinctual power drive. There's a great statement. An instinctual power drive to flex our reasoning predator duty. It's not just fun, sport, meat, trophy, soul cleansing. It's all those things to perfection. But we're really responding to a primal scream urgency to pursue the ultimate positive conduct of being grounded and down to earth, which means you got to get on the ground and you got to bring your dinner down to earth. It is a challenge. It is sport. The doe is meat and a trophy in my book. So is the woodchuck.
Oh,
yeah. It's such a challenge. The aim small, miss small, safe firearms, marksmanship, archery, one with the mystical flight of the arrow. And it certainly is stimulating, which brings the fun factor right through the ceiling. Me. So my tip has always been take a deep breath, go slow, turn up the physics of spirituality radar. Don't let a songbird pass you by. Don't let a rustled leaf escape your vision and your hearing. If you're like me, put in hearing aids. As I take my grandchildren in the blind, I use my hearing aid so I can hear that cedar waxwing whistle. I can hear that distant crow and that sandhill crane. Take it all. And yeah, we want to kill a deer. That's perfect. We got to kill deer to balance the herd.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only good diet left in the world. Even the CWD deer is good venison because it's always been there. We've eaten millions of CWD deer and no one's ever gotten CWD because the whole CWD scam is a dirty, nasty lie. It's not dangerous. Science has been proven we can't get chronic wasting disease even from tainted venison. The point being is that what we do as hunters is the last pure, natural, organic, responsible function to be one with God's miracle. And I know it's about fun, and the camp life is just the best party in the world. And getting out there and trying to find that right spot, right time, right place is a challenge, but go slow. Think of Jerry, think who's telling you to go slow. If the Motor City Madman can reduce my natural velocity to, and I'm going to tell you, to a Fred Bear, reasoning predator, omniscient bow hunt, if I can do it, and it's so fulfilling, it's so gratifying. When I'm in my tree stand or my ground blind, or I just kick some leaves away from an oak tree and lean back, it's the spirit of the wild. And my adrenaline is still there.
Right.
My energy level of making sure I don't miss a thing is still peaking, but I breathe so easy. I am so calm. I know it's hard to imagine.
Yeah,
but
I don't get that part of it, Ted.
I am so at ease
Yeah.
and happy. That's the number one goal. Pursue omniscience and happiness in God's miracle.
I don't know how much of that is wrapped into this next question, but you went hunting with Fred a lot. But like the first time, was there something that struck you? I know, your dad first was your hunting spirit guide, and then later on you had the great fortune to hunt with Fred. Was there something that, Fred did that was just so like, wow?
Well, yes, much like playing bass guitar for Chuck Berry, there was something that was like so much wow. In a musical world, in a soulfulness, in a musical presence. Fred had that reasoning predator presence. You could find adjectives to describe someone's personality as you see it and interpret it. But Fred Bear was just such a gentle soul.
Right.
Because I was so hyper. Did I say was? Because I'm so hyper that my dad was a calm man.
Right.
Fred was an extremely calm man. So was George Nichols, who made Fred's arrows. So was Bruce Gilpin. And George, these old guys that I was lucky to hunt with, the best hunters in the world are so not like Ted Nugent. They're extremely slow talkers.
Uh-huh.
And I were fondling his 44 Magnum at Grouse Haven in Rose City one year during the season. And I carried a 44 at the time, so we were comparing guns. And I tended to, I improvise, adapt, and overcome pretty good. I spoke to a terminally ill Marine on Veterans Day, and I had to enter that realm. And I had him laughing. I had him reminiscing the foundation of Marine warriors and how we appreciate his sacrifices for our freedom. So and when I do that with a terminally ill kid, I have to adapt to the atmosphere.
Right.
So the reason I mentioned that is because around Fred Bear, he inspired me to pay closer attention, to listen to every word, because he was a real quiet, slow talker. Back then I had good hearing. And And when all the other guys at Grouse Haven would leave to go hunting in the afternoon, hunting in food plots over bait, by the way, all the
Uh-huh.
people that think hunting over bait is bad, maybe you should tell Fred Bear that. Uh, I inserted that because it seems to be a contentious issue nowadays by small-minded people. Um, and I would stay with Fred at the fireplace. And
Sure.
we'd talk handguns, we'd talk arrows and broadheads, talk animals, talk life. We talked music, but I was there to absorb all that I could. So I think my greatest gift in life is to identify superior minds and better people and just glean what I can from them. And that's really what Fred Bear taught me, was to listen. And luckily, that's how I was raised, to be respectful of my elders, especially when you so adore a man like Fred Bear as a fellow mystical flight of the arrow deer hunter.
The
Um,
guru.
I was in awe. I wasn't a fanboy. It was much deeper than that. I mean, I'm
Uh-huh.
a big fan of James Brown and Wilson Pickett, and I love those musicians. But there's something about when you're next to a man like Fred Bear, who, in a world of outrageous industrial revolution technology progress, there was a fundamental primal scream that he represented that I couldn't have even put this sentence together back then. But over the years with people like Fred Bear, particularly Fred himself, I learned this. And I think this is an extension of your first inquiry here of what my tip would be. And that would be to get a conversation at camp. And yeah, we can talk fun stuff and BS and talk about beautiful women and talk
Right.
about, but the hunting camp, I would like to recommend people talk hunting. People talk nature. People talk reasoning predator moral obligations to the balance of our functioning as a harvester of that surplus. I'd like to see more of that. And then, as you talk about that, then force it upon the bureaucrats that are trampling on our hunting rights. That's what the hunting camp should be, a gathering to identify the abuse of the DNR, the abuse of bureaucrats, and how to channel that to get rid of those bureaucrats, or at least fix their abuses. That even I know that's not quite as much fun as just talking ammo and venison, but I think in this day and age, those of us that hunt, fish, and trap, we have a duty to fix those bureaucrats that are against our pure conservation lifestyle. So a combination of both at deer camp would be really beneficial in the state of Michigan. Yep.
So I'll let you go on this. Your prayer for this year's hunt.
May the Great Spirit be forever at your side as you celebrate your instinctual obligation to harvest the surplus, getting ready for the death of winter, as we save and enhance our air, soil, and water quality by balancing herds and flocks and schools of fish to feed our families the most natural, healthy, organic gift of natural protein from the pantry of our Lord. Aim small, miss small, and may Fred Bear be in your camp every season.
There you go. God bless you, Ted. Thanks for doing this each and every year. It's a pleasure and an honor to talk hunting with you, sir.